Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Social Media Decoded podcast, the number one podcast to help you understand social media better so that you grow your business, get more clients, and monetize. And today we have a special guest. You all know I always get excited when we have special guests, and this special guest is one of my really, really good friends. She is a marketing extraordinaire, and we can talk about marketing like all day long. That's what we were doing before we got on the show, on the pre-show. But welcome, Candace. I am so excited to chat today all about marketing because we both really are nerds when it comes to this.
Thank you so much. I'm always so excited to be a part of whatever you're doing. And I love all things marketing and social media. So I'm here to chat and excited and looking forward to how this conversation is going to go.
Yeah, so Candace is also from Chicago, and we actually met online and in person. So I keep telling you all that it is very important to network. We met back when Clubhouse was popping. Clubhouse is not popping anymore. So, well, I mean, it probably still is, but we don't know that.
Yeah.
Um, and we met on Clubhouse and in real life. And so I'm so excited to have her here on the podcast. We've collaborated a lot of times. Like she has said, I've been on her podcast. So again, when you meet people online, really great opportunities to network. So today we're going to be talking about achieving authenticity in digital marketing, some strategies for building trust and engagement, which is really important because I feel like there's a lot of misconception when it comes to like how people actually buy in that whole process with marketing, social media in general, when it's like, oh, people are just going to buy from you posting one time. So let's talk about it. I want to start off with why is authenticity so important in digital marketing, and what are some challenges that some business owners may face in building those relationships with their audience? What have you seen that maybe are some things that people might need to work on?
Yeah, so this is a really great question. So I feel like authenticity is super huge. I'll give you guys a little bit background about me. So I am a digital marketing and automation strategist. So I love all things like, the tech that is behind the marketing, like all of the automation is going to bring things together. And I feel like I think of like digital marketing tech as being kind of like the branches of a tree, right? But like the leaves and the fruit is where the content and the authenticity comes into play, where it's like it fills out that tree to be like fully, like well rounded and all that stuff. And so I think that, you know, um, in and of itself, like authenticity is important because people care about the companies they buy from. They want to know the stories, and like stories sell. And even outside of the world of like social media, even if you look back at just the evolution of how people tell stories or how folklore and things have traveled over the ages, it a lot of times things happen by way of stories. So we heard of Bigfoot, we've heard stories of, you know, Dr. Martin Luther King. We know all these things by way of the stories that we're told about them, right? And so I know those are two very random examples. I'm talking about MLK, who's like, a really well-known, like, amazing activist and like leader. But then you've got this fictional like story of like Bigfoot and all of these things. But these are things that play on the human psyche, which is when we hear stories, we remember them, right? And so where does authenticity come into play is really in the art of storytelling and figuring out what parts of your story to tell, whether it's your story, your brand story. Authenticity comes into play because the more that people know your story well, the more that they remember it. So I know if you're listening to this, you probably have heard of Michelle before, right? And so you know that she has a daughter named Riley, right? She plays basketball. She has a husband. Her and her husband both have locks. They've been together for years. Like you know her story. This is a part of her story because that's how she shows up online. You know that she has worked with, major brands, but that's because she has told that story. And why authenticity matters is that you don't need to, go online and like be someone else that you like, or put on a aura or whatever you feel like you need to put on. Just be yourself and tell your true story. That doesn't mean you need to put all of your business on the internet, but it does mean that you need to be intentional about the stories that you decide to tell about yourself so that people can connect relate, and eventually purchase from you. So I know a lot of times you hear the know, like, and trust factor. You're getting your audience to your content is getting your audience to be aware of what you do, to trust what you do, and to like you enough to be able to purchase something, right? And so I think that space is really important, but I think it's about really connecting with people so that they can feel confident enough that if they purchase something from you, even if they just found out about you, that they're willing to make a purchase because of how you're showing up online, if that makes sense. And I'll say one of the things that I feel like people struggle with in that space, and one of the challenges is they struggle with trying to figure out what stories to tell, or they struggle like even putting themselves out there in general. Um, I have a lot of clients that I deal with, so I'll tell you guys a little bit about what I do. So basically, I am the founder of Epic Fab Girl, and we help Christian women entrepreneurs build profitable brands and grow their faith. We specifically help them market and monetize their ideas to six figures and beyond. And so, one of the things that I teach a lot is the importance of showing up on social media. But in the process of getting women to, build these six figure businesses, a lot of times I tell them that their audience is already paying attention to them, right? The people that you want to pay you those big bucks, those big dollars, 9 times out of 10, these people are already following you, and you need to give attention to the people that are already there. But what my clients, a lot of them, they come in struggling really with the concept of not wanting to go live, right? Like they don't want their face to show up. And for me, I'm a believer. I love the Lord. And so one of the things that I've been telling people recently, it would not be of the Lord, or it would not be in alignment with God's plan and purpose for your life for me to tell you that you should go online and create content without showing your face. Because then I'm telling you that, like, who you are and who God has created you to be is not enough. And I would never dare to tell you that. So, what I would instead tell you is that you are more than enough, that you are amazing, and that your light needs to be put out for the world to see. Imagine if someone like Tabitha Brown was afraid to put her face online because she was nervous about how people would, take her. And it's like, imagine, like, you see the amazing light that she exudes in our society and the impact that she has because she is herself. And I think a lot of people talk about people like Auntie Tab because, like, she's like such an amazing light that we all know and love. And I think for you, at the end of the day, like when it comes to trying to figure out if you should show up online, I say this is like, there's a world of people who are desperately waiting for you to do what God has called you to do. Like what you have been placed on this earth to do. There are people that are waiting. They've been praying for answers. They've been lost. They've been confused. And you are likely, one of the people that will help them shift their perspective or shift where they're headed. And don't be so concerned about, oh, someone over there is doing something similar. It doesn't matter. Like, you are doing it the way that you are called to be doing it, and you have your special approach, and you may resonate with someone more, or your message may resonate with someone more than someone listening to someone else. And in the same way, Michelle and I do pretty similar things in the coaching space, right? But her voice attracts a particular audience, as does mine. My voice attracts a particular audience as well. So it doesn't mean that we can't all be successful, especially when you look at the world of how much money actually there is to go around and how many billions of people exist on the planet.
You just gave us a whole masterclass. I hope you all were listening and taking notes because gems were dropped. I definitely agree with you on so many things that you said. Make sure you all tag me on Instagram at Michelle L. Thames. Let me know, what are you thinking about this episode? What questions do you have when it comes to authenticity? But I think you, of course, gave us a whole masterclass there. That was some really good information, especially, like you said, the people who do similar things. That doesn't mean that you can't do it. You do it your own way. No one can show up on Instagram like me. I can't show up on Instagram like you. So there's a lot of also people talking about, people stealing things from them, but they can't really steal you. So you just be you. Put your twang. I don't know, that's some down south stuff. I'm from Chicago, but put your twang on it, okay? Put your hot sauce on your content. So thank you for that masterclass. And I think, again, like, go back and listen and take notes because those were some really good gems that were dropped. And I want to pause here because Taylor is going to edit this. I did forget to introduce you. So if you could give us a quick introduction. So Taylor, if you're listening, I know you are. You know, I be trying to go through the episodes real good and I'll never mess up.
It's all good.
Taylor, cut it right here and you know what to do. So Candace, if you could introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background on how you got started in marketing to how you got to where you are today.
Yes, like I said, I'm so grateful to be here. But a little bit about me. So I feel like my story is very long, and I'm going to try to give the shortest version of it. But I'm a girl from Chicago. Went away to school to study mechanical engineering. Didn't really go to school to like. That's not what I wanted to study. I wanted to study business. But then when I got to college, for whatever reason, you know how like you apply and you have to declare a major at the beginning or like apply for that particular school. I wasn't accepted into the business school at the school that I ended up getting the funding to go to school for. I talk about this in my book, Bold and Courageous, but like that really like messed up my mind because even though I was this very entrepreneurial girl when I was younger, and I really loved business, like because I didn't get into like business school in undergrad, it really messed up my mind once I got to that campus. Even though I had gotten into U of I's business school, I didn't end up going there. And it was a big deal that I gotten into U of I's business school. But then for me, with the college that I got a full tuition scholarship from, they're like, well, you're just in the art side school. You got to figure out and declare your major. And I'm like, what y'all talking about? Like, so I'm sitting here confused, didn't know what to do. I'm really good at math and science. I love and adore physics. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do mechanical engineering. Ended up studying mechanical engineering, interning a couple summers, realizing that I did not want to be in the room with white men who were old and did not listen to me. And I was like, oh no, there's no way. Like, I know that some women are built for this, but I'm not built for this. I don't want this life. So I'm going to figure out something else. So I ended up getting a master's in business and or pursuing my master's in business, got my master's in business from the same school that told me that I couldn't get in undergrad. I ended up getting a degree, okay, with a master's in business with a focus on marketing and accounting. And when I was in undergrad, I actually had started my first ever business, which was a hair extensions company. I've done so much over the years, but that was where I got started in the world of making sales online from Instagram. So that was back in like 2011, 2012. I had a hair extensions company called Fancy Extensions. And I was making four figures a month as a like college student who was also getting my mechanical engineering degree, who was also getting my master's in business, who was also active in so many things on campus. And then I graduated, worked in corporate America. My business took a backseat, so I focused on, doing digital marketing, technology consulting. I worked for Accenture for 3 years. Gave that a rest after God basically kept telling me like He wanted me to do something else. And at that time, by the time I quit my job, I had already started Epic Fab Girl, which was just supposed to be a blog to help Christian women discover purpose and go after purpose fearlessly. And over time, that turned into a space for Christian women entrepreneurs. When I quit my job, Epic Fab Girl was not monetized. Like, so we were making money here and there, but it wasn't monetized in a way where we had consistent income coming in month after month. And so that was my kind of start of entrepreneurship and business. And then Epic Fab Girl, pretty much since then, that was 2016 that we started. I quit my job in 2017. 2018, I ended up starting my marketing consulting company. And then I began speaking across the country and across the globe. And what else is the story tell? Began speaking about across the country, across the globe. And then in 2020, I literally had hit rock bottom, had $0 in my bank account, went from $0 to six figures in under a year. In my consulting company, I was running Epic Fab Girls a membership at the time and hosting events and doing a lot of different things. And fast forward to now, I've consolidated my businesses. So Epic Fab Girl is where I do all of like my high ticket coaching, helping women master their marketing and really scale their businesses to six figures and beyond. And I've been able to do really incredible work, even working in brands, working in brand campaigns, doing things like, brand partnerships and things like that by creating content online. So That's a little bit about what I do, but I feel like I do so much that sometimes it's hard to say like, "Hey, introduce yourself," or it's hard to answer that question. But that's a little bit about me and my journey to where I am now and how I help my clients.
No, that's amazing. And it's just a testament to we may start somewhere, we may go to school, we may go to school for healthcare, like I went to school for, or business, and not even go into that field. And so it is okay to fall back on your passions and to do what you are really called here to do, which I think our stories are very similar. And it's like, well, this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. So let me move into this other lane because it just goes to tell you that anything is possible. And so I love your story. I think it's amazing. All the pivots, all the twists, all the turns, they're all a part of your story. So thank you for sharing that with us. I also want to talk about measuring the impact of our content when we are authentic. It's like we're showing up, we're going live, no one's watching. We're creating podcast episodes, no one's listening. So, how do we continue to show up and build these authentic relationships when we may feel this way? What do you think is like some really great tips that you maybe have even told your clients about showing up authentic, even when there may be one person on the live, or even when no one's listening or reading our emails?
Love it. So the reason why I love this question is because I feel like we live in a world where social media is like the central focus of a lot of things. Like, it's the way that a lot of people make money. It's the way that we find out about the news. It's the way that, like, there's just so many things. Like, it's so ingrained into our life. And with the different shifts and changes that social media has made, like, you already know, like, algorithm don't be algorithming the way that we want it to. And it's just interesting. But like, even like, I did a post maybe a little over a month ago that has gone viral. And when I first posted it, like, it just had like 150 likes. Now, for someone like me, I have almost 60,000 followers on Instagram. I remember seeing like a post of mine that I felt like was really good, and it just like didn't get no likes that I wanted it to. Like, I'm like, this is such good content. Why are you holding my stuff back from my people? Like, I just had an attitude. So it fueled me to post this video. And I literally just posted a video with words on top that says, like, today's reminder, like, you are more than the likes and views that you get on social media. Like, you're worth so much more than that. And I went into the comments and I started, like, I basically, in the caption, I basically was like, let me be honest, like, I struggle with this. Like, I struggle with, you know, like, I question my content. I'm guilty of going and looking at other people's followings that have the same amount of followers that I have and seeing how many likes they get versus mine, and being like, what is it with my content, or is it the algorithm, or, like, I'm guilty of that. But I also am honest with myself that I have to remind myself, like, you're so much more than these likes on social media. Like, your value is not based in all of this. And once you separate yourself from that belief, like, then you can, like, show up a little bit more authentically. And even for that, like, that post ended up going viral because I think it resonated with so many people, that, like, people struggle a lot with the fact that we're putting out content consistently and people are not watching. But when I first started, I got started on Periscope. And one of the things I always used to say was, like, I used to be on Periscope, it would be 3, 4, 5, 6 people on there, but I showed up for the three the same way as if 300 people were watching. And so that's one of the best ways to be authentic, is to, like, be your true and full self, like, no matter how many people are watching. And when the numbers come, like, it's just going to be the norm that you're being yourself. And so, one thing I'll say is, like, if you find yourself getting in a place where you're questioning, like, your content, like, just remind yourself, like, you know what, it is not that serious. Okay. The right people are going to find your content that need to see it. Even, like, I had a video the other day that I posted about a retreat that I'm doing in Mexico, and it didn't get that many likes, but people was responding in my DMs like, "Oh, I want to go." And even though it wasn't a video that had thousands of likes or views on it, it was a video that had impact from a social media perspective, in terms of, like, a call to action where people were able to take action. And I think when you were talking about measuring the depth of the impact of what you're doing, I think about impact as, like, if I just impact one person that needed to hear what I had to say, then that's all that matters. I just recently, just today, as we're recording this podcast, I got very vulnerable on social media. And I shared that I had walked away from my sorority that I was a part of. And I did, I was very authentic, very, like it's clearly a topic of conversation that is not one of those things that like people don't really care to hear about it all the time. Like it's just like one of those taboo topics. But for me, in my authenticity and me sharing my personal story and my personal journey, even if it didn't get the likes that I would have wanted, or I honestly didn't care about the likes. But I think for me, measuring the depth of the impact was the stories of the people who didn't like it or didn't comment on it, but sent me a DM and sent me a voice note and said, "Thank you for sharing this." And so I just want to remind you that at the end of the day, that there are people that are paying attention, even if, though they're not liking and commenting. There are people that are viewing your stuff. There are people that are sharing your content. Like you got to remember that the impact is about the depth of how you impact someone and not necessarily about the amount of people that you've impacted. And I've met so many people over the years in person that they're like, "Oh my goodness, I've been following you for years. And I totally love that one time you posted XYZ." Now, y'all, they be bringing up stories that I forgot I told online. I'm like, how do you even remember this? I forgot I posted it, but it resonated with them enough for them to bring it up and to say, like, this is how this impacted me. So I measure impact by, just those moments of like confirmation when you're reminded, like, I'm doing the right thing, and that, you're deeply impacting somebody in a way that changes their life or their business in that capacity. And the last thing I'll say, like, there was one lady who I think, because I do a lot of like free webinars and stuff like that I teach or like create a lot of content online. And one lady, she was like, "I just want to let you know, like, just from listening to you online and the boldness that you've given me, I've made over $10,000 in a single month just from listening to your free content." And she was like, "I can't wait till I can actually coach with you." I'm like, baby, that for me, that's what impact looks like.
That is so awesome. And you hit again, masterclass. I hope everyone was taking notes because that was such great information on how we can measure our success. It doesn't have to look like we think with the likes. And because to be honest, a lot of people scroll past your stuff, just like you said, and won't even like it. I got high ticket clients that won't even like my Facebook post, but will DM me. And then that's how I work with them. The last two one-on-one clients that I'm working with right now, did not like a post, but just slid in my DMs and said, "Okay, I'm ready to work with you." So again, just show up as your authentic self. You will attract the right people. It does not look to the likes for it to be validation that our content is good, because your content is good regardless. But the key thing is, and I think you said this, you just got to know who you're talking to in the beginning, and then that way it won't be so hard to create content. So that was another masterclass. And again, I hope you all were taking notes because gems are always dropped here on the Social Media Decoded podcast. So before we get into the next section, which is one of my favorite sections, and it's about books, and I know you got a book out, so we got to talk about this book, but some quick, fast tips on some emerging digital marketing trends that you see in 2023 and 2024. So it's kind of like rapid fire, what you think people should pay attention to.
Yeah. I definitely think people should pay attention to short form content. I think everybody knows that. So, but we won't assume. So, short form content. And I think like content repurposing. So, making sure that because you're doing all this work to put content on one platform and really being intentional about putting that content across different platforms. So, for example, you got YouTube Shorts, you got Instagram Reels, you got TikToks, you got all of that. And across all of that, I know this may be like very simple, but like, don't put no video up online if it doesn't have captions on it. So you should absolutely be using captions. Share more short form content, more authentic stuff. I'm trying to think of any other trends that I have seen or noticed. But I think people love stories. Like they love to, the day in the life stuff, like things that bring them into your world to show them like what you're up to, and not just the tips and the information, but I think that's a really big trend in general, is like the mini vlogs and stuff like that. So and even many like master classes, like teaching people stuff in series online to really help elevate your like what's the word, your authority online.
Again, everything I totally agree with, especially the vlogs. I just posted a vlog today, kind of like, hey, you want to be your own boss. I was able to do this. And sometimes I don't know, I feel kind of, I don't know, to like post stuff like that. But I'm like, Michelle, it's like inspirational content and it's real. I am being authentic. It's not like I'm lying or anything, but I always get this like feeling of, you don't want to boast. But I think when you position it in a certain way, like you can have this too. And that's how I position the content. And it's actually doing really good. The real, and I want to tell you all, reels do not pop off like they used to. Like you're going to get 1,000 views in 1 hour. No, it's going to be it can be a slow roll. And I kind of feel like this reel is slowly going to take off. But it has been doing good. So I do agree with you. More vlog style in addition to, your teaching content. So kind of like 80% to get to know you behind the scenes. They want to know you as a person, and 20% of you actually sharing expertise, because I'm pretty sure no one wants to come to your page and just see teach, 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 and nothing about you. So make sure that you are mixing it up. So I think that is a really great trend for 2023 and beyond that we should be paying attention to. Now, one of my favorite sections of the podcast is the book section. And I know you have an amazing book that I have over there. You all can't see. I wish I had the book up. She has it up though, because it's over there on my bookshelf. Bold and Courageous. So can you tell us about this book? And I know you might not want to share any other books that have helped you, but share about this book and maybe any other books that have helped you along your entrepreneur journey. And when can we get this book? Because I know it's so good, y'all. Y'all need to read it. So good.
Yes, I love it. So, the book Bold and Courageous is literally about how to confidently and unapologetically walk in your God given authority. And you may be wondering, like, what does that have to do with social media? I personally believe that if you are not fully tapped in with like being like discovering your best version of yourself, that you can never bring that version of yourself online, right? So if you're too afraid to be your full self, if you're struggling, and signs that you may be afraid of being your full self, like you may have an idea but you don't want to put it out online, like, or you want to show up online but like you're nervous that people gonna look at you crazy, like you're afraid of being yourself. So I think there's a certain power that comes from like really leaning into like all that you are, and all the gifts and the talents that are inside of you. And so that's really what this book is about, is helping you to really discover that version of yourself, heal from your past so that you can be everything that you were created to be, so that you can bring that best version of yourself to the forefront, to the world, so that we can see and appreciate you for that. And so that's really what Bold and Courageous is about. And, a lot of people have said it has helped them tremendously in really growing, but being confident and being bold and courageous. Other books that I really enjoyed, I always recommend the book Profit First. It's a really great book when it comes to business, and like money management for business. And then what's another book that I've read recently that I really enjoy? Um, there's that book by Dave Walker, I think. No, Jeff Walker. It's called Launch. So that's a really good book to just talk about, like, kind of just getting understanding of like how, not necessarily currently, but like how people have handled launches in the past with like video sales letters and things like that. Those are a really cool set of books. I'm trying to see if I see anything else. Oh, that's the book that I was thinking about. Lean Startup. The Lean Startup is also a really good book as well. Just in getting your ideas out on paper and like really understanding like what you're doing, what your product concept is, and validating whether or not it's going to be worthwhile for others. So yeah, that's another one. And then the last one I'll say, I think, is it by Pat Flynn? I don't know if it's by Pat Flynn, but it's called Will It Fly? And it's basically a book just about helping you understand if your idea like will actually work.
Ooh, So many good books. All of our guests always bring us amazing books, and on here, the Social Media Decoded podcast, we like to listen to them on Audible. So if if you like Audible as well, make sure you check those books out on Audible, and make sure you check out Candace's book. We will make sure to put the link to that down below in the show notes so that you can check that out. I think it's a really great book, and I think that you are so awesome for writing it. And I am not done yet, but it's like I'm reading through it, and it is some really great information. And so
Yes,
thank you for being bold and courageous and putting this amazing book out into the world. So,
absolutely.
this has been such a really great episode, and I'm so excited that we got to chat. I know we chat every day, like in real life, but it's so good to have you on the podcast to share your amazing gems with the world. But before we head out, can you let us know where can we find you online and where can we keep up with you? And if you have any freebies or any special gifts for our audience here today.
Love it. So you guys can find me at Candace Junee on Instagram. It's CandaceJunee. I'm pretty much there on Instagram, on TikTok, on pretty much every platform. You can find me there. You can find my book on Amazon, Candace Junee. It actually has my last name on there too, Candace Junee Armor, on Bold and Courageous, or the title of the book is Bold and Courageous. You can find that on Amazon. And then my brand is Epic Fab Girl. So EPICFAB Girl on Instagram. In terms of freebies, I have a couple of them that are really helpful. But the best place to get them is if you go to our Epic Fab Girls Instagram page, and you'll see all of the links right there. But one of the ones for faith-based businesses that people love, we have 100 Bible verses to pray for your business. That's right there at the link in our bio. We also have a free guide to build, grow, and monetize your brand. And that's really just like the ultimate brand building checklist. So if you are a business owner, whether you are thinking of starting a business or have already started one and just really want to make sure you have the right things in place, it's a really great checklist thing that you should do if you really want to take yourself and your business seriously. So that is a really great resource. And last but not least, I always like to mention this every Monday morning, um, at 7:30 a.m. Central Standard Time. Epic Fab Girl hosts a Monday morning prayer call for Christian women entrepreneurs. We have women from all over. Literally, we had over 120 something people there joining us today, just praying. Women from the UK, from different parts of Africa, the US, Canada, just coming together to pray and just share what God is doing in their lives. So all of that you can find at the link in Epic Fab Girl's Instagram bio. Or you can just go to epicfabgirl.com/Instagram, and you'll see all of those links right there. So thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I so appreciate you. And, I always love all the things that you're doing. So I'm really grateful.
Yes, thank you so much. No, this was such a great episode. And make sure you check out those amazing freebies and definitely check out that call if you need some inspiration to start your week off on the right track. And we make sure to put all that information again in the show notes for you. So thank you so much, Candace. This has been such a great episode. And I'm so glad that you got to come on and chat.
Thank you so much. See y'all.